Good day to you. It is I, Justin Hawkins, from the darkness. This is Justin Hawkins Rides Again, my new YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, use the comment section to suggest things that you'd like me to analyse or stuff that you want me to do. I am here to serve, and I'm happy to, willing, and feedback as well. Do feedback. I'll accept all of it. So today I'm going to talk about a band that everyone's been excited about since they formed. Here are some facts. They're called Greta Van Fleet. They formed in 2012 and they were signed in 2017 to one of my favourite record companies, Lava Records. They have released 2 studio albums, and their biggest hit so far is Highway Tune. I was just looking at the riff for that. It's I think he's detuned the A and the D strings, so they're all so that's a G, that would be a G, and that would be a C. But I'm going to play it without detuning it because I'm awesome. Hang on. It's like that. Straight away, their biggest tune has a riff that's sort of, a lot of people have criticised them because it's very, very derivative of a certain period of Led Zeppelin's career. I don't think they do themselves any favours by, when the guitarist plays that riff, he does this little bit of choreography like that, which is straight from the Jimmy Page handbook. I mean, that's his signature move. I think when you're trying to establish yourself as an original artist, you need to have your own sort of little bit of choreography that you do. And that's I dismissed this band as a tribute act because it seemed to me that they only had one influence, and it was Led Zeppelin, a certain period of Led Zeppelin. And it was the music. Obviously, the guy's voice sounds exactly like Robert Plant, but I'll get onto that in a little bit. And when it's extended to things like the way they carry themselves on stage, then you really think, hang on a second, what is the point of this band? Why are they doing that? Why wouldn't I just listen to Led Zeppelin, who've got, 5, 6, I mean, even the live stuff's amazing, still amazing. There's enough Led Zeppelin music provided by Led Zeppelin to not need Greta Van Fleet. That's what I thought, okay? I always feel like a new artist needs more than one influence. Like when The Darkness came out, not to speak about myself, but we had 2 influences at the very, very least. The most obvious ones were AC/DC and Queen. But that's 2. That's combining stuff, and drawing influence from more than one source is how music progresses. If you don't do that, then you're just going to be destined to have something that is like the amazing music of Led Zeppelin, but not as good, For me, like that, there's a riff that goes. So that's okay. But if Led Zeppelin were doing that riff, I mean, obviously you can hear them doing it. It sounds like the sort of thing that they would do. But the point is the rhythm section would have things like pushes, like when the drummer from Greta Van Fleet comes in, he comes in usually on the 1. Which is more like an AC/DC thing, I suppose. But the glorious thing about Led Zeppelin, and the thing that you should take influence from them, is the way the rhythm section syncopates with what's happening with the guitars. Like the bass and the drums will come in before the 1, and then it'd be like, oh, and it pushes you into the different sections of the song, or it comes in late in some instances, and it takes a little while to learn what those 2 guys are up to before you even think about the enigmatic and iconic guitar playing, and then that voice, which is totally distinctive. That's what makes Led Zeppelin brilliant. And if you're going to do something that's inspired by Led Zeppelin, those are the things you should be stealing, not the other stuff, not the clothes, not the clothes, and not the. Although, to be fair, his voice is awesome, and I've begun to think that it's possibly awesome in its own right. You can't listen to that guy sing without being excited unless you're a little bit dead inside. So when you have a singer like that, then you have the possibility to become great, but you do need to draw from more than one source. I had a listen to a more recent release. There's a song called, hang on a second, just bear with me while I find out what the song's called. I listened to it once and I see improvement from their second album. This song's called Heat Above. and it has a fairly kind of ambiguous, peace-fueled, let's not do any more war, you guys, and if we do wars, let's look after the people that do the wars for us. And it's not really, I don't think there's anything groundbreaking or even particularly personal or emotional in the lyric, and you wouldn't expect that really, because I think the lead singer is, let me just tell you exactly how old he is. Hang on. Lead singer is, well, I'd imagine he's exactly the same age as the guitarist, because they're twins. They don't look exactly the same, so I imagine that the guitar player, whose name is Jake, probably benefited from more of the placenta than Josh, but it's really paid dividends for Josh, because when he sings high, he's not doing it in falsetto. It's like an upper mid-range thing, and it's fairly staggering. I think if he did use his falsetto, you'd find him in the castrato range, and that's super impressive. And that with loud guitars is always going to be a win, I think. Yeah, he's brilliant. So anyway, what was I talking about? I've forgotten what I was talking about. It was something really important and insightful. Oh yeah, so they need more pushes in the rhythm section, and so on and so forth. What I noticed about his vocal delivery is that on the earlier record, featuring songs like Highway Tune, which is the most, the only way you could have a more generic title is if it was called Cruising Down the Highway. It's like pub rock 101, and not really that awesome, to be fair. But as soon as he starts singing, you think, oh, that sounds like Robert Plant. I remember I heard it once in a restaurant, and I was like, oh my God, this is really Robert Plant. Who is this guy? I wasn't saying who are these guys though. I wasn't saying who's that band, because I didn't think the rhythm section, whilst there's some good technical stuff happening in the drumming, they're not pushing, they're not syncopating, they're not doing what a Led Zeppelin tribute band should do. I'm undecided now as to whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because when you're doing like a straight up, like if it was Led Zeppelin, they would go, it would be, but it's just, so it's more like a Phil Rudd approach when it gets to that point, and it's really a shame. It's actually a crime to have sort of Zepp influenced riffs with AC/DC rhythm section. You can't; these two things don't combine, But I wonder what their second and perhaps defining influence will be. On the second record, I'm seeing white costumes. It looks a bit Queen. There's an organ in the video. That's always good. There's some metal stuff on their faces. Love that too. They look awesome. There's no getting away from that. And I feel like he's using his voice in a slightly different way. Like the Robert Plant stuff, Robert Plant is one of the great blues singers, regardless of the genre that he operated in or helped to actually invent. He's a proper blues voice, and he's one of the greatest singers of all time, in my opinion. And Josh from the Greta Van Fleet has started to use his voice now in a slightly different way. He's actually holding his notes much longer, and he's super operatic, and it's like, now I listen to it and I go, yeah, okay, these guys they're heading somewhere. I don't know what the second influence is, who's got a hold of them and shaken that faux Led Zepp out of them, but it's working, and I really think that they've got the potential to kick on and be like, I'm not going to say Queen. They won't be able to do Queen, but Queen were massively influenced by Led Zepp. Aerosmith were influenced by Led Zepp. Greta Van Fleet say they're influenced by Led Zepp. Well, Aerosmith, who are in turn influenced by Led Zepp. I think all roads lead to Led Zepp. I think they've got two choices that they have to make at this point. They either have to approach the rhythm section in the same way that Led Zepp used to approach it, or they have to lean into the AC/DC Aerosmith influence, take those riffs, this straight up thing, and just, I think if anything, he's going to have to use his voice and continue to sort of develop in his own right and become more operatic, maybe more like I don't know. Remember that guy who sang in Pure Essence? Someone like that. I just think hearing him soar and hold a note over several bars, that's what he wants to be doing, because those are the things that Robert Plant didn't do, and it's probably the only thing that distinguishes Josh from Robert Plant, and the more he finds himself, that the more chance they have. I mean, the twin brothers dynamic is exciting. The riffs are okay. The choreography needs a little bit of work, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is Josh. I think he's got the potential to be a world beater, and if he continues to add other elements to his pool of influence, they might take over the entire world. And I wish them luck with it, because they're obviously nice kids, you can tell. I mean, I hate saying that, because they're not kids, they're grown up, they're adult people in their own right, and it's exciting to watch Josh develop into something that isn't just faux, pretend, sub Robert Plant. So yeah, good luck, Greta Van Fleet. I hope it works out. Remember, listen to more music and let it bleed into what you're doing. Live it. Or don't. Yeah, I mean, yeah, live it. Live it, because if you don't live it, nobody will believe it. That's it. It's got to be real, man. It's got to come from the heart. It can't just come from your record collection. Okay, and if it does just come from your record collection, listen to some more records. And lots of love. Remember, like, subscribe, do this or that. Let me know how you feel. And I appreciate you. Justin Hawkins reporting for Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Please, to enjoy.